Hi there. Welcome to History in Retrograde. This is the podcast where we use the ancient art of astrology to help us better understand the past. I'm your co-host, Chandler O'Quinn, and joining me live via satellite is my mom. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Chandler. How are you?
Good. Are you ready to begin another grand experiment?
Yes, I am very much ready to begin another experiment.
All right, let's give it a whirl.
Great. But I also want to say thank you to all the listeners because they're growing in numbers, and it's very exciting to know that people are interested in our podcast and this wonderful combination of history and astrology. So I just want them all to know how much we appreciate them tuning in and listening.
Yes, we truly do love all of our listeners all around the country and all around the world. It's truly remarkable to know that our little rinky-dink operation is being heard by people all over the place, and the people are enjoying it.
Absolutely. We're very happy to have you.
All right. So for those of you new listeners, the way that the show works is that in a moment, I will give the astrological birth data of a random historical figure to my mother. Now, this historical figure is known to you, the audience members, because it is the title of today's episode. I, of course, know who our mystery history guest is because I selected them, but Mom has no idea who this person might be. So I give her the data needed to create an astrological birth chart. That is the birth date, time, and location of this random historical figure. She then inputs that information into the BAT computer, and out comes the astrological birth chart, where all of the planets, moons, and stars were at the moment that person was born. She will then do her best to give us the personality traits, character motivations, and fortunes of this person. I will ask a few discussion questions and then reveal to her who our mystery history guest is. I'll then give a little background about our person, and then we will discuss how accurate the chart was at predicting what that person did. So, without further ado, let us begin.
All right.
This is going to be a male.
All right.
Born on the 22nd of October,
Okay.
1811.
My. Oops. Okay.
And again, I was able to find a birth time for this one. I'm not exactly sure if it's accurate, but we're going to go along with it. It is 1:16 a.m.
Okay. All right. And what country?
Hungary.
Hungary. Ooh. Hungary. All right. Okay. And where?
Riding. R-A-I. Yep.
All right. Okay. Wow. Okay. Yes, all of these people that you choose were clearly destined for, recognition. There's a lot going on here. All right, let me just take a look real quick. All right. Interesting. Very, very interesting. You don't see North Node in the first. I have not. In all the charts that we've done, I don't think seeing North Node in the first house. And, okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I am actually going to start this one with Mars.
Okay.
In Capricorn in the 5th house. So what I'm looking at in this chart, like right off the bat, shows me that this person has potential to be like a very famous actor. Okay. So I don't know if that's the case, but we'll start to go through and I'll give you what I can see. And then you let me know if I'm even close. Okay.
Yeah.
So having Mars in Capricorn in the 5th house, which is show business and children and leadership, it's all the Leo things, right? Everything that Leo rules is the 5th house. Well, this person has Mars in Capricorn there, which would tell me that this person, being a male, could be very motivated and to be in show business and be very good at the business of it, because it's a Capricorn, Mars in Capricorn, which would be, well, I mean, the other side of that is they could be very manipulative in show business or in leadership. I don't know why. I just feel like this person, because they have North Node in the 1st house, which means their appearance, everything about their first impressions would be part of their journey, like their direction, right? So I don't know, because it is ascendant.
So appearance is part of their direction. That's what you're saying?
Well, they do have North Node in the 1st house, and they have North Node in Virgo, which is in the house. This house is ruled by Leo. So this is another person with Leo rising, which would make them very, gregarious or lionish. You again, you should know when this person is in the room. You should, people with Leo rising do not go unnoticed. More so than people with Aries or Sagittarius. People with Leo rising burst into a room, even if they don't burst through the door. They're there. They will naturally do something to draw attention to themselves. It's just, it's their natural way. It's how they are. So this person has Leo rising, but it's at 29 degrees. So it's like Leo Virgo rising, but they have the power to definitely burst into a room and make their presence known. And then having North Node, it is in Virgo, but it is in the 1st house. So their direction has to do with Virgonian things, medicine, healing are some aspects of Virgo, but there's also the communication aspects of Virgo and the organization aspects of Virgo, because Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Different than Mercury ruling Gemini, which is an air sign. Virgo is an earth sign. So it could make them more, physically, more physical as opposed to more airy, like communicative, more physical with their communications. Okay. So we'll go to, and that combined with this Mars in Capricorn in the 5th house, I would say this person's very smart. I would say they're very smart, very quick. Like their brain works really quick. What is their Mercury in? Libra. Libra is ruled by Venus, which makes pretty. Libra, whenever I think of Libra, I think of pretty. It's pretty. It's very pretty. So this person has their Sun conjunct their Mercury in Libra in the 3rd house, and also Uranus and Scorpio is there. Ooh. So this person, 3rd house is ruled by Gemini, which is communications, and this person has their Sun and Mercury in the 3rd house, which would make them, it would give them direction in communications. But Venusian things, and also, it could make them, like, on one hand, it could just make them a lawyer, like an attorney or in the legal system or something like that, on that level of Libra, which is like the scales,
Right.
balance. But on the other hand, it with this whole, fifth house thing and this first house, they could be a very beautiful man, like very, very handsome actor, very handsome actor. I would keep saying actor because look, they've got Jupiter and Cancer in the 11th house. If this person is not an actor, they seriously could have been.
But a performer would be the same.
Oh, yes, a performer. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It could be like a very handsome singer or a very handsome stand-up comedian. Whoever it is, I feel they're very handsome. And then, second house has Mercury in the second house. See, because this person has Sun conjunct Venus. That Venus is in Scorpio. With Uranus in Scorpio. There is also an essence of sexuality to this person. That is beautiful. Like this person would have, like some men like earthy women, some men like feisty women, some men like, docile, domesticated women. This man would have really liked a very beautiful sexual woman. Like one that maybe they could have on their arm because they want everybody to see her. Like, this is mine. This is what I have. You know what I mean? And very appreciative of that. Probably quite a ladies' man. But
really?
But this person might be fickle. They might not stay with the same person all the time.
Okay.
They might be very fickle. And probably could be because I'm guessing they're very, very handsome. And, so moving through this whole... See how this person has all of their planets in this lower hemisphere? Okay, so that makes them more materialistic, more of earthy things. This hemisphere makes people more philosophical, ethereal. You know what I mean? Like if people have a lot of planets up here, they're more about otherworldly things, not necessarily the earthy, like sex, drugs, rock and roll, whatever. That's all down here. That's all this part. So that's what's going on down here. Now, fourth house, this person has moon in the fourth house in Sag. So again, moon in Sag would be that their mother would have been more of a free spirit, more of an earthy, independent kind of woman, with philosophies that might go against the grain of everyday life. But this also would mean that this person is really, really, along with this sexual woman, would want her to be very kind of strong and feisty also. So this person definitely has women. There's women going on here.
Yeah.
There's this person, I'm gonna say this person likes women. Like really appreciates females. All right. And likes because this person also has Neptune in Sag, conjunct the moon, but not by orb or degree, but Neptune in Sag might like it. They like, their house is unique. Their house is different. They either grew up in a house that was very creative, or they feel comfortable with unusual things in their home. Also could be that, what about the house and the home? Very interesting, because they also have Saturn there. And Saturn is all these things, learning lessons from women, lessons being learned from women, liking maybe older women, could like an older woman, but definitely a kind of I don't know. This is a lot about women. This person on Monday, this one likes the sexy one. On Tuesday, this one likes the earthy one. On Wednesday, this one likes the older one. On Friday, this one's with the creative one. There's a lot of women in this person's house. Now, this person also has this wounded healer Chiron in the 6th house, which makes this person possibly having started out with issues with Aquarian things, humanitarian things, maybe even issues with authority figures at work, because 6th house is ruled by Virgo, so that's work and medicine and communication and things like that. So at first, this person would have had issues with that, because people who are Aquarians don't do well with authority figures. They feel that authority figures are not necessary, that they are already doing what they're supposed to do, and you don't need to tell them what to do. So this person could have had some sort of issue with that, but then worked it out, or they should. Chiron is what you need to work out. So karmically in the past, or at the beginning of their life, they could have had issues with that kind of thing. I don't know. There could be another aspect to this. They could have started out in some place where, I don't know, a dictator, you know what I mean? And then made it past that. Work. It has to do with work. And then they become the healer, or they get healed, and then they are more of a positive aspect in that. This person has Pluto in the 7th house, which means they could have been a powerful partner. Their Pluto is in Pisces, which is very interesting, because it would be powerful creativity, powerful, even supernatural abilities, death and rebirth with supernatural abilities, death and rebirth with creativity, but through the partner, through partnerships. This person might have had issues with partnerships, powerful partnerships that dissolve and then I don't know.
And that's not just meaning romantic. That's any sort of partnership.
It can be business partnerships, and it can be romantic. It can be family partnerships. It's anything that is more of a one-on-one partner. 7th house is more one-on-one, but it is not specifically romantic. It's all kinds of partnerships. It could be friendships. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Then we get up here into the 8th, 9th, and 10th house. And this person has Midheaven and Taurus, which gives this person a very tenacious aspect to their career. Like, this person is going to power through it. All right. Whatever happens. And I don't go into a lot of the squares and conjunctions and stuff like that, because it would take too long. I basically just do an overall reading on charts, but I am very familiar with having Taurus on the Midheaven, and that gives this person a stamina that a lot of people don't have. People who have Leo rising automatically have this stamina that other people don't necessarily have. It gets them through a lot. This person
and why are you familiar with that?
Because I have it. So I'm very familiar. I am very familiar with Leo rising and Taurus on the 10th, on the Midheaven. So it does give you a lot of strength to persevere through many, many, many things. And I have used it a lot in my life, because my life has had many, many things that I needed to persevere through. So, okay, let's go to the Jupiter in the 11th house. Okay, now this Jupiter at 60 degrees Cancer in the 11th house would give this person, if this person is a performer, this person has a natural, whatever they're doing nurtures the people. Like, the people really are nurtured by this. Like, this, let's say this person was a singer. Their ability would mesmerize people, nurturing them, making them feel really good. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so these are all of the aspects that I'm finding in this. Do you have any questions?
Yeah. So, how would this person feel about attention?
Well, all Leo rising people love attention. You can't be Leo rising and not love attention. Now, the one aspect to this is that this person has their Leo rising at 29 degrees, and it is lore, or I mean, I don't think it's factual, but I think it's lore that any 29 degree is a degree of sorrow. So it is possible that this person with Leo rising at 29 degrees, which puts them right on the cusp of Virgo and Leo, they could be less accepting than someone who has Leo rising right in the middle, where they're like, why, yes, that is me. I am that person. Why, here, would you like my autograph? So Leo rising people love love. They love to be loved. So, but that Virgo aspect could make them a little bit less. But I have a feeling this person was familiar with adoration.
Mm-hmm. Can you get anything from what role travel would play in their life?
Well, they have ninth house cusp is Aries. So they have Aries on the ninth house. I think that it's very possible that having Aries on the ninth house, because your ninth house is your house of travel, it's ruled by Sagittarius, and philosophy, they could be an avid traveler. They don't really have anything in that house. But usually if you have Aries somewhere, that's going to be very motivational. But they don't really have anything there. So it could go either way. They could be...
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you get anything about what role religion would play in their life?
Again, that's also ninth house, and they do have Aries on that house. So depending on... I mean, Aries is a natural leader as well. It's just a little bit different. Aries, if you're, all the fire signs have their own thing. There's a reason why the song Fire exists. It's because of fire signs, I think. They have their own ways, and they are intense, all right? Fire signs are very intense, and they're intense power. Each of them, whether it's Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, they're very powerful signs, and they're powerful. I'm not even going to go into it that far, but basically, this person could have a very distinct religious philosophy because they have Aries on the ninth house. But again, they don't have anything in there.
Is there anything else that you haven't mentioned already as you continue looking at the chart that stands out to you?
Well, this person was born in Hungary in 1811. So this is very interesting. I mean, I would say I would not want to be alone in a room with this man because I would be very afraid. Not fearful, because this man probably was very, very cordial to the ladies. And I would be a little afraid that I might be at the mercy of this person and literally, just become very enamored with them. So
yeah,
I would,
in a seduction sort of way.
Yes, I would be like, I need to find the door. I have to get away right now because I don't know if I can be in the room with this person.
Not in any forceful sort of way. Just
in a way that this person has a natural ability with women.
And I will let you know that there's an added reason why you would not want to do that, and that's because we are related to this person.
Oh no! We're related to this person. Yeah.
Yes, we are.
I would have to go away. This is a cousin?
Yep.
Oh my.
Yes, it is.
Oh my goodness, this is one of our cousins. Okay, I have no idea. But am I even close on this? Am I?
Oh, you're very, very close.
Okay.
Yeah, this is. I think everything has pretty much come out here. Yes. So, Let's summarize what we have found here from the chart. So this person, you originally said could be a very famous actor. I kind of massaged it to be a performer. I think performer is it fits who this person was. He wasn't really an actor. Very motivated to be in show business. Appearance is part of their direction. Very gregarious, excuse me. Does not go unnoticed. Bursts into a room, whether he likes it or not, he's going to get attention from people. He's more physical with his communication. He is very quick and very smart. Direction in communication. A very beautiful performer. An essence of sexuality. Wanted very beautiful women to show off to other people. A ladies' man. But could be very fickle with the ladies. Most of his planets are in the realm of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. His mother was a very independent woman. Wanted strong, feisty women. Grew up in a creative house. Creative, unique things are in his home. Lessons about and from women. Issues with authority figures. Lessons to be learned through authority. Powerful supernatural creativity through partnerships. Tenacious about career. Perseverance. Has some shared characteristics with you. Performance nurtures the people, mesmerizes people. And he loves attention. Are you ready to find out?
Yes, I'm ready.
You are looking at the astrological birth chart of Franz Liszt.
He's actually supposed to be our uncle. He's our fourth great uncle. Yes, and he was a rock star. Oh my goodness, he was known as a rock star and a ladies' man. He was something else. He was truly in his own unique area. But yeah, fourth grade uncle, I gotta get out of that room.
Franz Liszt was born on the 22nd of October, 1811 in Rating, Hungary. He was the son of Anna and Adam Liszt. Adam was an amateur musician. He was known to people like Beethoven, but made his living as an accountant. At the age of 6, Franz exhibited extraordinary talent for music. He began replicating what his father was doing on the piano, and he was playing and listening attentively not only to what his father's more traditional music, more contemporary music was, but he was also enamored with the music of the traveling Romani people in Hungary. By the age of 8, he started composing his own works. At the age of 9, his father took him to Vienna, and he began training with one of Beethoven's pupils, Karl Czerny, and he also trained with Antonio Salieri. Somewhere during this early part of his childhood, Czerny arranged a meeting for Franz Liszt to play for Ludwig van Beethoven. This is a story that there's the accurate version, and then there's the version that everyone kind of embellished upon. The accurate version is a little less romantic. By this point, it was past 1822. Beethoven was completely deaf. So Franz Liszt played for Beethoven, and Beethoven couldn't hear anything and was rather nonplussed by this young child playing for him. The story that would later go on is that Beethoven was completely enamored by this young virtuoso, and Beethoven leapt from his seat with tears in his eyes, went over and kissed Franz Liszt on the forehead. Most people like that story a lot better. But the father, Adam, and Franz Liszt later moved to Paris and wanted to train at one of the preeminent academies in Paris. But the academy had just been closed to foreigners. They were only going to teach French children from that point on. So whatever tutelage Franz Liszt had happened between the ages of around 8 and 11. That was all the musical training he had, and so whatever heights he reached he certainly learned during that time, but it's remarkable what he was able to accomplish with limited education. So the father took Franz Liszt around Europe, touring, showing off this young virtuoso, until Adam passed away when Franz Liszt was 16 years old. When his father died, Franz Liszt went into a deep, deep depression. He often thought of not even continuing in his musical career, and instead found solace in the church and was thinking about becoming a priest in the Catholic Church. He was dissuaded from his mother, and continued in a deep, dark depression, took up drinking, and was only making money by giving piano lessons to other pupils. This is the mid-1820s going into the 1830s. France is going through another revolutionary period, and Franz Liszt finds a home in the salons of France, and he is entertaining some of the great luminaries of this early 19th century France. He would be in salons with people such as Victor Hugo,
yes,
the Chopin, Alexandre Dumas,
yes,
Georges Sand. They would all just be in the rooms playing music for each other, telling each other stories. It was a very creative environment, and eventually Franz Liszt built back his confidence and started playing music again. Around the same time, he started having an affair with Countess Marie de Argent, I believe is what, that's the best I can do in my pronunciation. The Countess was married to a count, but this did not stop Franz Liszt from carrying on this affair. They had their affair for over 5 years. Eventually, she became pregnant, and they ran away to Italy together. She was completely captivated by this young figure. In fact, she talked about the first time that she ever met the man, that the only word that she could use would be apparition, that there is something spiritual about the man. And so eventually they would, run away to Italy to have, they had 3 children together. I have a few excerpts from some letters that Liszt wrote to Marie. At one point, Liszt said, "You are not the right woman for me, but you are the woman that I want." At another time, Liszt wrote, "A man is not truly complete unless he has 7 women in his life."
Oh, no!
4 that want to hold me, 2 that want to stone me, 1 says she's a friend of mine. Oh, I'm sorry. That was the Eagles.
Yeah.
Franz Liszt said, you need 7 women, 1 for the home, 1 for the heart, 1 for the brain, 1 for the household, 1 for whims and follies, a woman to hate, and a woman that he pursues but never catches.
Ooh, he was horrible. He was a terrible cad. Terrible. Franz, how dare you? You're terrible.
So their relationship ended in 1838, and the 3 children went to live with Franz's mother, Anna, in Paris. And Franz Liszt went on a tour, a grand European tour. Very rarely, if ever, saw his children, just got letters from them. And he went on and really became the first rock star. There are stories told of Liszt on tour. It's an actual contemporary term called Listomania. Where the women, hearing that Liszt was coming into town, it's like the Beatles at Shea Stadium, screaming, clawing after him. He was truly a rock star. There's one story where he had this long hair, and in places like Russia, that long hair had been forbidden to have hair that long. But so there's something so exotic about him with his long hair. One of the concerts, he shows up, and on the stage there are two pianos, and they are facing each other, and there is one stool in between the two pianos. He appears in the concert hall. He has a white cravat. He has a medal that he has just been given by the Pope. He is carrying a sword of Hungary with him. And he approaches the stage, and he does not use the steps. He leaps right onto the stage.
Yes, that's awesome.
He then takes off his white gloves and he throws them into the audience. And the ladies are clawing after them, breaking them up into pieces, ripping each other apart for something. It reminds me of Elvis getting the scarf and throwing it out into the crowd. He would then get in between the two pianos and he would play and such rushing music that people had never heard people play this fast before. And he would go between the two pianos, playing and answering himself with the two pianos. And this just caused a furor among these women. The cafes he would go into, they would go in there with vials and collect his leftover coffee. Just any article of clothing that they could rip off of him to have a piece of this magnificent performer who truly hypnotized and captivated these people. So he went on this tour from around 1838 to 1847. In 1847, Liszt was getting a bit tired of this touring rock star life. He was ready to settle down, and he got an invitation from the town of Weimar in Germany. And he settled down, and he chose another married woman to settle down with. This was the Polish princess, Caroline. And so he settled down with this other already married woman in Weimar, and he kind of created a French salon in the middle of Germany. And so all of these great musical composers, he became friends with Richard Wagner and many others. If you read the letters of Wagner and Liszt, Wagner is always getting in trouble and is always asking for money. And Liszt he was actually one of the first people to go on concert and have people pay him, pay tickets to go see him in concert.
Yes.
Before this time, you would perform a concert, but it was something that a count or a lord was providing for all of the people. And so even poor people could come to these concerts sometimes because they were free. Mm-hmm. But Liszt figured out, or someone figured it out, to where people would actually pay to hear Liszt, and so he sold tickets.
Yes. So Mars and Capricorn right there in the fifth house. That's what I was saying. Very good at the business of show business.
Yeah. And at one point, Wagner wrote a letter. He was always getting in trouble, and he was saying, I think I need a new piano. Write to some old widow and tell them that I should have a new piano. And Liszt did not do that at all. We don't know what happened if Wagner ever did get a new piano, but that's not what Liszt was going to do. But it's very interesting that they would have that sort of relationship. Especially because Wagner and other contemporaries of that time were very viciously anti-Semitic. And what we can see is that there's no evidence to show that Franz Liszt had these same feelings about Jewish people. At one point, the Grand Synagogue in Budapest asked Franz Liszt to play for them, and he went down there and he did. So in this time of the mid to late 1800s, where this anti-Semitism is becoming rampant, and Wagner is one of the ones who is most celebrated by the eventual Nazi Party for his beliefs in German unification and a German identity, and that being against Jewish people. But Franz Liszt we have no evidence to show that he shared any of those same beliefs.
Good.
So from 1847 to 1861, he was in Weimar. He was in this relationship with Princess Caroline, and his benefactor, the Countess of Weimar, she passed away in 1861, and so he was kind of rushed out of Weimar after that, and so he went to Rome, and he actually had been generating this great friendship with Pope Pius. And Franz Liszt considered himself a very devout Catholic. It was something very important to him. At many times in his life, he had considered leaving music behind and joining the priesthood. And him and Pope Pius were very good friends, and they would discuss theology and philosophy. And Liszt was hoping to capitalize on this friendship in getting an annulment of Princess Caroline's marriage. And it was about to happen. They were going to have the wedding the next day. And the day before, the Pope got a letter from the Tsar of Russia, and it all fell apart. And Princess Caroline and Franz Liszt were never married. Princess Caroline put herself up in an apartment in Rome, just steps away from the church where they were supposed to be married, and just waited there for Franz Liszt to occasionally visit. Apparently, she smoked very strong cigars and wrote books about the wrong things going on in the Catholic Church. Liszt spent this last part of his life, a lot of it in Rome. There's a dichotomy within Liszt. There's the very pious person who's very religious and would take counsel with the Pope and all the time. But then there's this bohemian, this very creative person. And so he had two residences in Rome, and he was going to the papal palace all the time and playing, but having this other salon, sort of creative apartment as well. And then towards the latter end of his life, he would go between Rome and Weimar and Budapest. And he would just make these travels by train and live in 3 different places every year. He would just rotate between these 3 places. He would teach. A lot of times he would teach absolutely for free, just taking these new pupils. And a lot of times Franz Liszt was even more radical than the new up-and-coming people. He was figuring out how to play music, what they would say, without tonality, which was similar to trying to walk without gravity. Like he was just completely out there.
Yes.
And there's even a generation of people like Brahms who look to Liszt, and even though they're younger, they say that Liszt is way too radical with the way that he plays the music. We need to go back to basics and to go back to Beethoven and these certain things. But Liszt was a pioneer, and some of the things that he comes up with wouldn't really be capitalized on until well into the 20th century. And he's also going back to Budapest, and he never shunned away his Hungarian side. He capitalized on it. He showed that he was a proud Hungarian. He was a son of these people, and that this made him somewhat exotic to lots of people. But he also incorporated the music, what they would say back then, the music of the gypsies, of the Romani people, into what he was composing. And he actually, in fact, wrote a whole book about the music of the Romani people. And this people would not even recognize that, these sorts of people would have their own musical culture and write entire books about it until, again, well into the 20th century. He essentially wrote one of the first works of music ethnology, and really felt that this was his music too, to share with everyone. And the people of Hungary always have recognized him as a national hero for sharing that music with the world. And so in his older age, he went between these three towns and was still very prolific with the music that he was writing and the music that he was teaching. But eventually he did pass away. And he was going to his daughter had actually married Richard Wagner, and Cosima was her name, and he was on his way to a Wagner tribute concert because Wagner was his friend, and Wagner actually passed away before him, but he died shortly before that concert happened. So Franz Liszt will be forever remembered for this great musical talent, for the concerts that he gave, for the Listomania, the way that he impacted especially women of this 19th century Europe. He also serves as sort of this bridge between the 18th, 19th, and 20th centuries. He is born in 1811, and he is taught by many of the great composers of the 1700s, such as Salieri. And then he completely dominates the 19th century with his own form of music, and then by the end of his life is creating new music that wouldn't be popular or would be so radical that people would shun it until well into the 1900s. He also changed the technology of music. They had to create different kinds of pianos because of the way that he played. So they had to create pianos where the hammers would hit faster onto the string, that you could make more notes in a shorter amount of time because of the way that he was playing the piano. And his music is not just something that you're going to hear on NPR. It's something that is in Looney Tunes as well. So it's something that you have probably heard Franz Liszt music and not even known it. That is how prolific and how amazing he was as a composer and as a performer.
Yes, this is a wonderful chart. I'm very impressed with the fact what we know about Liszt and that whole rock star, that whole sex, drugs, rock and roll, bohemian, and I don't believe he was not like a womanizer. He loved all of them. He loved them, and they loved him back. And it was just like, there's this thing about brilliant men, very smart men. There's a lot, and women are naturally drawn to that kind of power. And he was extremely powerful. But you see what I was saying about the older women, right? And the powerful partners, and for having him described in the way that he was described makes him very supernatural. He was like a supernatural being, Right. And I think it's way cool. I think it's very cool. So, everything in the chart shows. I was like, oh, this person is like, seriously talented and benevolent to the people. His music was and is, people are sent out, ethereally by his music. It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the chart absolutely bears all that out. I think on our scale of right on the money to way out in outer space, this is another one right on the money.
Yay! I did it.
This concludes another episode of History in Retrograde. I hope you all enjoyed it and continue listening and liking and subscribing to the show. Tell all your friends. We are available on all the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, History in Retrograde, or Retrograde Podcast on Instagram. We're also available on Gmail, historyinretrograde@gmail.com. Leave us a comment, tell us how we're doing, give us a suggestion of someone you'd like to see on the show. And as always, in closing, as long as your houses are in order and the stars are aligned, everything will be just fine.
Thank you so much for listening. We love you guys.
Bye-bye.
Salal Creek Studio.